Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. A person has lent another person some money. Can he say to that person who's got the debt now, instead of paying me back, go give this money that you owe me in zakat to such and such poor person? Person A lends person B £100. Person B needs to pay £100 back to person A. Person A says, no, person B, please use that £100 and go give it to a poor person, and that will be my zakat money. Is that permissible or not? Now in Asl, in its origin, the majority of the ulama have said that the person who is giving the zakat must make ikhraj al-ayn. Ikhraj al-ayn means that the person must extract that money from his own wealth rather than appointing someone else to do so. Whether that's money, whether that's zakat on jewelry, whether that's on livestock, whether that's stock, business stock. He must take account of it himself and pay himself, and not, tell other people to do it on his behalf, or, forgive people as part of the debt or something like that. He must take ownership of it himself. And from the evidences, this is the view of the majority, and the evidences that they've used, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَىٰ. Your actions are based on your intentions. Now, before you do the action, you need to establish the intention. Every single action has a series of conditions that need to be taken in place. You can't just say, okay, I forgive that person and that'll be my zakat. You can't do that. Because at the point of giving the loan, it wasn't the intent to give that person zakat. So they say it must be ikhraj al-ayn. Also, we have the hadith when the Messenger of Allah said to Mu'adh bin Jabal when he sent him to Yemen, تُؤْخَذْ مِنْ أَغْنِيَاهِمْ. تُؤْخَذْ, you have to take it from the rich. وَتُرَدُّ إِلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ. It is taken, ikhraj al-ayn, from the person who is paying the zakat. He has to depart with that himself, with the intention, with the calculation, etc. And then it is given to the poor. And this is the view of the majority. Now, this principle has many different ahkam connected to it. So, for example, are you allowed to buy resources for the poor rather than giving them money? There are places in the world today that don't need money, they need things, like they need commodities, they need assets, they need blankets, they need books for educational purposes, etc. They need clothes. Can we buy those clothes with zakat money and give it to them instead? Now there is a khilaf between the ulama, difference of opinion between the ulama. Some of them said, no, you can't, because there is no ikhraj al-ayn. The money has to be given to the poor because this is their haqq and this is their right. Some of the ulama, this is the view from the Hanafis and Ibn Uthaymeen from the contemporaries, that if there is a pressing need and there is a necessity, and you know that money, zakat money, is going to be used for the purpose of facilitating the affair of the poor and the needy, then it is permissible. We're not talking about that. We're just trying to show you here that there is great emphasis from the ulama that there must be ikhraj al-ayn. And with this, the majority of the ulama have said, if a person owes you some money, you can't say to that person, I forgive the debt and that's my zakat. Why? Because he hasn't made the ikhraj, and this is the view of the majority. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, وَمَا إِسْقَاطُ الدَّيْنِ عَنِ الْمُعْسِرِ فَلَا يُجْزِعْ عَنْ زَكَاةِ الْعَيْنِ بِلَا نِزَاعٍ. If a person is owed money, so person B owes person A £100, person A can't say to person B, okay, that £100, just forget it. I know you're poor, I know things are difficult right now, just take it as my zakat. That's not allowed. Bila nizaa, no difference of opinion. In actual fact, some of the ulama have said, by forgiving a debt and including it as zakat, that has a level of personal benefit in himself, meaning he's not actually taking out the money and giving it to the poor. Somebody has done him a favor in that regard. However, in another scenario, person A is owed money by person B. Person B is now ready to pay person A the £100. I've got the money in my hand. Can person A say to person B, actually, you know what, don't give me the money, go give it zakat on behalf of your charity or charity X or somewhere else? Then the ulama from the Shafi'i madhab and the Hanabila have said it is permissible And I don't think that this is any different from the other madhahib, to be honest. That it is permissible for you to appoint an agent to distribute your zakat. So in this scenario, if the person has got the 100, you see the difference now. In the first scenario, the person owes him the 100 and he's not in a position to pay him back. So he says to him, you know what, forget it, and I'll count that as my zakat. That's not allowed. Bila niza, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, without any difference of opinion. But the person now has the money in his hand and he's able to pay the person back. The person who is owed the money says, listen, no, don't pay me back. Go give the money to such and such organization, and that will be my zakat money. This now takes the ruling of him becoming an agent. And the ulama have said you are allowed, and this is very important because I think nearly everyone does this. Nobody really gives zakat to the poor directly anymore. What are the conditions for us to give zakat to an agent? When you pay your zakat through a website, through a brother that you might know, through a sister that you might know, you are now appointing that person as your agent for zakat. There are 3 conditions with the ulama. Number 1, or 4 conditions. Number 1, the person who is given the zakat must have the niyyah. Number 2, you give them permission. Now giving permission is very important because now person B is ready to pay person A. Person A says, no, he hasn't taken the money back, has he? But what he says is, I give you permission to use that wealth which is mine to give zakat on behalf of such and such. Niyyah, permission. Number 3, there are no restrictions between the person who is the agent and the person who is being appointed by the person who owns the zakat. If there are restrictions in the sense that the person who is appointed as the agent can't fulfill what is necessary of them, then that money should be returned back to the owner and then he disperses of the zakat himself. And number 4, the person must be certain that this person is going to give it to the poor and the needy. If these conditions are met, inshallah, there is no harm in us appointing an agent. So now, if a person owes you money, there's 2 scenarios. If they owe you money and they are not able to pay you back, you can't say, well, keep the money and that will be my zakat. That's not allowed. But if a person has the money in his hand and he wants to pay you back, can you then reverse it and say, okay, now this is not a loan, I'm going to appoint you as an agent and you now need to pay zakat on my behalf to such and such person. Can you please, give it to wherever? Then inshallah, hopefully there is no harm in that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us tawfiq and success and He purifies for us our wealth. And before that He purifies for us our iman. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.